Hello everyone and welcome back to another review. Today is my very first day of summer and I started off with a bang seeing a brand new movie which I was only sort of excited for, and that is Solo, a Star Wars story. I was not a huge fan of Rogue One. I loved The Force Awakens. I was good on Last Jedi, I didn't have much excitement for Solo because I had heard so many people so scared about it, saying that the guy, I don't remember the actor who played Solo, who played Han, that he wasn't a good actor, that the whole thing was a mess, and I went in with pretty low expectations and was absolutely blown away. I'm not kidding when I say this, that it might be one of my favorite Star Wars movies. My top is the original, Star Wars 4, and then I really like Force Awakens, that's my second. But then this, I think, is my number 3, which is surprising to me because I always loved the rest of them. So, honestly, you all know the story of Han Solo. He's a smuggler. He's a guy who will do whatever he wants to get what he wants. But he's always got some trick up his sleeve. And this is his backstory. It covers everything from the Kessel Run to how he meets Chewbacca to meeting Lando and the Millennium Falcon and tons of things that you've heard about, and now it shows in detail. And it really is just great as a Star Wars fan to see all of this be tied together and not forced. That's the main thing. With Rogue One, it felt like they forced it. They slid in all these characters which you didn't know anything about, and stuck them into a timeline, and you're like, oh, okay, I guess that happened. But this, you feel a little bit of backstory, because you know how Han and Chewie end up. You know that the characters that go along with them are going to die. That's not really a spoiler. They're not in the original trilogy, so they have to die. So there's a sense of place that was not present, because we have something to hold on to, something to think about, think ahead towards. But surprisingly, the movie subverted a couple of those expectations in good ways, which I cannot say what they are because that would be a major spoiler. But I'm going to get into my points. First off, this movie has amazing side characters, at least for a Star Wars movie. My favorite part about Star Wars is not the main characters. Like, I'm fine with Luke, Leia, Han, Chewie. I'm fine with them, but what I really think where Star Wars shines is introducing unique characters that play a big part in the progression of the story, but don't necessarily have huge arcs themselves. They're usually an alien or a droid, or they're some small villain or quirky character, and this movie excelled at that. Rio, Val, even Beckett, who played by Woody Harrelson, who's also one of the main characters in this movie, but he feels like a side character because you're focusing on Han and Chewie. And L3, who's Lando's co-pilot droid. She's great too. I'm a huge fan of droids. I loved K2 in Rogue One. But that was amazing. Woody Harrelson and Donald Glover absolutely stole the show. They played themselves in the Star Wars world, and it worked beautifully. I don't even know what to say. It's hard to explain without seeing it, but if you've seen a movie with Woody Harrelson or Donald Glover in it, or you know anything about them, you will understand that it's just themselves inside a Star Wars world, and it's hilarious. The first half, I thought, was amazingly paced. I went into it not expecting much, and then bam, bam, bam. Cool scene leading into interesting plot point, leading into some cool character interaction, straight into Han and Chewie meeting each other, and it just snap, snap, snap. Nothing felt unbroken. It was smooth, and it worked. About midway, it starts to get a little more choppy, but it isn't so bad that it throws you off. You just lose a little bit of continuity. Not terrible, though. I honestly think that it has some of the best set pieces in Star Wars history, which Star Wars is, of course, known for. But they're smaller moments, but they have more impact and they feel more tense rather than the giant story moments that Star Wars movies are known for. Another thing is the villain, played by Paul Bettany, does an amazing job, but the villain is just okay. he has a big impact on the story, but he really isn't the focus. It's the team building around Han and Chewie and their interactions while trying to run away or do whatever they're doing for the villain. That's the focus. So he might not be the greatest villain in terms of development or motive, but it doesn't focus on him, which is good. So that's a negative and a positive, depending on how you look at it. Another thing that I really liked was the aliens or the set pieces, which are my personal favorite part of Star Wars, is the cool planets and the quirky aliens scuttering around the background and sitting in a bar and chatting it up with a normal person. I love those things, and this movie really delivered on that. It feels like half the movies takes place in the Mos Eisley Cantina, which is one of my favorite locations. And the planets are also really unique and memorable as well. I don't know their names off the top of my head, but once I learn them, they'll be stuck in my mind forever. And now, for my final negative points, I'm keeping this review short. The biggest gripe that I have with this movie is there's not enough Han-Chewie tag team action. There's not enough of them buddying up. There's not much of a development between the two. You know it's going to happen somewhere between that and Star Wars 4, but there's not enough of the two of them buddying up and working together and building that friendship that we expected so much out of, which was a letdown. But they also, at least Han, built ties to other characters that we don't know before, and that worked really well. So that made up for the lack of Han-Chewie action. And then the final 2 points, very final 2 points, are there are some minor plot holes that are kind of just like, it feels like a scene was removed maybe, or like them making a plan, instead they just go straight into it. And it doesn't really ruin the movie, but it's just something to think about. And also there's occasionally, like once a scene or something, just a couple sentences of awkward dialogue or awkward moments that just feel out of place. But it didn't really break the immersion. It just felt strange, and that's really all I can say. Personally, I thought this movie was incredible. I really enjoyed myself watching it, especially because I had such low expectations going into it, and I really would recommend any Star Wars fan to watch it. It's a great new take on the Star Wars universe, more crime-oriented and underground and development of rebellions and alliances, not on a universal scale that we're used to in Star Wars, and I really enjoyed that. So I give this movie 4.5 out of 5 stars. I actually, as I said again, I'll reiterate, probably my third favorite Star Wars movie. I will be seeing it again very soon, and I hope you guys see it too. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you guys in another review. Bye.